Guten Morgen, Guten Tag. My name is Manaya and welcome back to my channel. First off, I did not think my first video was gonna be that well received. I think it's the fact that it was a long video and I was like, oh, that's not gonna do well. Who wants to listen to me for an hour and 30? But also the fact that I had to edit an hour and 30 video and I was like annoyed at my own voice by the end of it, that I was kind of like, nobody's gonna watch this. At most, it's gonna get like 100 views if I'm lucky. Did not expect so many people to be so nice. Thank you. Also, I just want to say, I feel like I didn't say that last time. The outfit, I'm really gonna try to give very much, 2006. To really integrate you into the books. That's why the editing was giving a little bit yellow tint, because I tried to copy kind of the flashback filter that they had in the show, I hope it worked. Anyways, thank you so much for the nice comments. It was really nice to hear. I was like, oh my god, people actually care. It was really nice. Anyways, welcome back to Rosewood. I don't know if you guys saw the community note I made. I don't know if that's actually what it's called. But I kind of want to do like a little teaser. The books we will be discussing today are Perfect and Unbelievable, book 3 and 4, that are also the end of arc 1. Also, something I didn't mention in the first video because it was not that important. The books have a chapter 0, if you will, like an intro chapter, a prequel of sorts. That's like a flashback to when they were in 7th grade. It will always be around, well, I say always, I've only read the first 4 books. It's always around the summer before Allie disappeared, somewhere along that. Because like I said in the first video, they were not friends for that long. They started becoming friends in 6th grade. They stopped being friends before 8th grade even began. Actually, we get an exact timeline now with all these flashbacks that Allison disappeared the day they graduated 7th grade. Like, in the 3rd book, the first flashback actually is the day before 7th grade graduation, and they're like, we're gonna have our sleepover the day of our graduation, and that's the night that Allison De Laurentiis disappears. So we finally get a timeline for that. That's how long they knew Allie, 6th grade, and so it's not that long. Which is kind of shocking, isn't it? Like, they were not friends for that long, for that girl to have that much of an impact on them. The flashbacks, I did not mention them in the first 2 books because I didn't think that was going to be a common occurrence, but in the first book, it was just literally the sleepover, the night that Allison disappeared, from the sleepover, like the pilot episode. It's just them discussing that, and in the 2nd book, it was the Jenna thing, the night of the Jenna thing. I'm saying it now because the 3rd and 4th book have different flashbacks that we've never seen before. Yeah, we've never seen. I was like thinking about. I was like, am I sure? Yeah, we've never seen these before. So I think it's important to mention because these flashbacks are something that is integrated into the plot line. Like obviously the Jenna thing, it's something they keep discussing. So it's like a flashback. It's a little vague. It's just something that's not from either and nobody's POV. It's just, and then during the series, somehow it gets brought up, like the Jenna things get brought up, or, obviously in the first book, Allison goes missing. And it's something they keep bringing up, and then later on, everyone has their own POV to what happened. Like, the Jenna thing is the biggest example I can give for that. Like, there was the vague flashback, and then it was just all of them being like, and this is what I saw that night, and this is what I saw, yeah. It's really important now to mention, so I am mentioning it. And yeah, so since I mentioned that, let's start talking about book 3. And for book 3, the flashback was this video. Well, it comes as a video later in the book, but it's this memory. So Aria was really into filmography. So she's like trying to film like documentaries, their daily lives. She keeps saying she wants to be a director, but I'm like, girl, this is giving YouTube. You want to be a YouTuber. YouTube was pretty new back then. Yeah, this is like 2006. No. Oh, wait, no. That was a flashback in their 7th grade. So yeah, this was before that, because they're juniors in 2006. Oh yeah, YouTube didn't exist then. She wanted to be a YouTuber. She's just like, I don't know what that is. That's not a thing yet. But it's her, just filming them, and they decide to do like a fake talk show, role play. And Spencer's supposed to be the host, and she has a little tiara, and Allison will be the guest. And while they're all, talking, Allison's like really secretive about her phone. And this is actually the beginning of them mentioning how fractured their friendship was that summer. Mind you, it's been almost a year since the Jenna thing happened. They felt like Allison was going to leave them when 8th grade began, outgrow them. So, she's being all secretive, and there's already fractures in the friendship. And when she goes to the bathroom, Spencer's like, do you guys want to read her messages? And Hannah's obviously like, of course, yeah. And before, they're trying to guess her password. For some reason, Aria's still filming this. And she comes back, she's like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, nothing. Nobody's trying to break into your phone. You're crazy. Anyways, and they're like continuing the talk show thing when Ian and Melissa walks in, and they're like, Ian can be a guest. Just a reminder, if you've forgotten what I mentioned, Ian, who in the present time, this is a flashback, in the present time is once again dating Melissa, but in the flashback, they're seniors in high school. He's dating Melissa and has already kissed 12-year-old Spencer. And Spencer obviously has a crush on him. That I can't fault her for. She's 12. He's 17. There's one at fault, and it's not Spencer. Anyways, so it's just this video that's being filmed. And it's just them asking questions. And the whole time, like in every flashback that Ian and Melissa are at, Allison's constantly trying to be like, out Spencer for kissing Ian. And it's just really, really weird. And something they all mention is it always felt like Allison would try to out their secrets, but nobody else knew those secrets. So it was only one person uncomfortable while everybody else was like, I don't know what that is. Book 3, Perfect, is an Aria cover book. And if you don't remember what that means, the cover, like whatever doll, whoever as a doll is on the cover is who has like the biggest storyline in the book. Though, like I said, everyone has their own storylines because they don't interact. One of them has a bigger storyline. And the Aria cover is supposed to mean like Aria has a bigger storyline, but I don't agree with that. And I was like, maybe I'm just not thinking about this enough. And I took notes, because I like to write stuff down for this video because I don't want to forget stuff. Yeah, Aria has like not that important of. I'm sorry, this is supposed to be an Aria book. Maybe I'm an Aria hater. I don't know. I just don't feel like she had the biggest storyline. If you guys remember in the show, Spencer was taking Russian history, I believe. It was something Russian, and I thought it was really weird. I was like, what public school is this? But, it's a private school, and they're actually, in the book version, she's actually taking economics, which I don't know why they changed that. I feel like it made more sense because just like in the show, Spencer steals one of Melissa's papers for her class because I'm pretty sure in the original show it was that because she didn't have time to write the paper, but actually in this version it's because she doesn't understand the material. And why I say the economics thing makes more sense is because Melissa is a business major and her paper is like really, really good on this economics related thing that Spencer just does not understand, does not compute. And I think that's really interesting. Instead of like not having enough time, it's not understanding, because just like in the show, it's always been said that Spencer is like a genius. She knows everything. So for her to be like human and not understand something. It's very, very interesting choice. I respect it. And I also think it makes sense that it's economics because, like I said, Melissa's a business major, so I think it makes sense why Melissa would be really, really good at this thing, that she specializes in. And the book is something relating to the concept of the invisible hand. I don't know. I'm not an economics major. If you are, maybe that's interesting for you. And she steals the paper, and apparently the paper is so good that she gets nominated for this prestigious award called the Golden Orchid. And it's a big deal. It's a national thing. People from all over, I think it's all over America, they get nominated for it. It's a big deal. Like I said, her parents are really weird people, and they're all like, oh my god, we're so proud of you. And let me tell you how she finds out. So basically, she goes to therapy. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I think people should do therapy. I think a lot of people require therapy. And every girl in this book requires therapy real bad. She goes to therapy in this book, but I don't like that either because the therapist is actually Melissa's therapist. I don't love the idea of family members sharing therapists unless it's family therapy. I don't agree with that. Especially when it's someone like Melissa and Spencer, because there's gonna be a bias. You know what I mean? Therapists are people, and there's gonna be a bias. It should be separate. If it's not family therapy, it should be separate. That's what I think, personally. Because then at that point, it just feels like another person picking a side in this little sibling rivalry. I think, especially because Melissa has been going to this therapist for years before Spencer, that I just think it's a little strange that they're sharing. They can't share anything, you know what I mean? It's just a little weird. But yeah, so she comes out of the office after a session, and her mom is sitting there, and she notes, Spencer notes that, oh my god, they look like they're about to tell me somebody died, and her mom's like, you've been nominated for the Golden Orchid, and it's like, whoa. And I was thinking about how, with the way she described how they were sitting down, it was so funny. Could you imagine coming out and everyone looks so and then it's actually good news, they're like, we got you a pony. Is that not crazy? And so they just have a hookup of this newspaper, and the newspaper is called Philadelphia Central Newspaper. It's apparently a big deal, and she's supposed to be featured in the style section of the newspaper as a nominee. Even though she hasn't even won yet, they're to be nominated is a big deal, it's the Oscars or something. So it's a big deal, and Melissa is jealous, which is something the therapist mentions, which I agree, but I still don't agree with the sharing a therapist thing. That Melissa, she actually mentions the way Melissa has talked about Spencer. Again, can't do that. And she mentions that she thinks Melissa is jealous of her. I guess, but I think she does touch on this correct point that there's something that makes Melissa fight for attention, just like Spencer does, from their parents. Something, a strain in their relationship that they need to fix. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. I just don't like the way she puts it. And she's right. And this whole when the newspaper comes to shoot Spencer, you know what that reminded me of? People shot, and they're like, oh. That reference didn't make sense. I'm sorry. Anyways, when they come to shoot, the lady that's doing, I don't think she's a stylist, I think she's a writer, Jordana, she literally ignores Melissa, which, that's new. And Melissa's really pissed off. She's like, do you remember when you interviewed me for the marathon? The lady's like, yeah, marathon's good. And apparently, it's not about to be a little feature in the style section. Spencer Jill Hastings is going to be the front cover of this newspaper. And of course, in any other instance, she'd be like really psyched. She'd be like, this is amazing. Except she did plagiarize. This is not her paper. And she's like really scared that Melissa's gonna read this paper. She's scared about winning. She's like, if I win, Melissa's gonna kill me. Might as well ask Allison to save a spot. You know what I mean? It's very stressful for her. She's very stressed. What doesn't help is that Ian is around. I don't like that man. He's also the assistant coach for her team. I want to say softball, but that's field hockey. I was like about to say softball, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, he's the assistant coach for the girls' field hockey. Minors in the league. You know what I mean? Literally. These are minors. And I just don't feel like a man who's kissed a 12-year-old that's 17 should be in authority. Call me crazy. At some point, Spencer discovers that she has blackouts, just like in the show, and she starts getting these flashes of memory from the night that Allison disappeared. As we all know from the books and from the show, that the night Allison disappeared, the last person to see her was Spencer. Except Spencer doesn't really remember much about that. She remembers coming back to the barn and telling them that Allie's gone. And really not much in between leaving the barn and coming back. But this book, she starts getting bits and pieces of her memory back, though not so much. And she gets a little scared. She's like, I feel like I did something. I'm like, I keep hearing arguments, you know. And a big part of the flashback in the beginning of the book and the point of view that the girls had about the flashback in just, 7th grade is that Spencer and Allison had a very contentious relationship. They were always arguing, fighting, and even in that video too, it won because I said Spencer had like the little tiara when she was doing the interview. They were even fighting over that. They were just constantly fighting, and it had gotten especially worse after the Jenna thing, which is probably because Spencer knew what happened. And the girls keep mentioning that, and that's kind of why she's scared that she did something, especially when she gets the text right before, the newspaper comes to her house, that Allie's killer is right in front of her. And she's just like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I think it's this book she mentions that she was looking at the mirror when she saw that, and she's just like, is it me? Did I do it? Because she can't remember. And while they're at the country club having dinner, as they do, she actually asks her parents if they know of any time she suffered a blackout and can't remember a certain time, a chunk of time. And they actually mention something that is new, that after this trip to this museum, in the parking lot, Spencer and her mom, I can't recall if Melissa was there, but I know Spencer and her mom get mugged, and it's really traumatic. And right after, Spencer got a fever. This happened when she was 8. She got a fever, and they were really, really scared for her because she caught something, an illness, and they were really scared. They were afraid she wasn't going to make it. And her getting sick and the parents waiting foot in hand to make sure she was okay at the hospital coincided with the time that Melissa had a spelling bee, and she had to catch a ride to the spelling bee with a friend of hers, which Spencer she tells us that friend was not so much a friend, as much as kind of Melissa's own Allison. Because this girl, they were practicing the spelling bee together, her and Melissa, and she would not let Melissa go to the bathroom until Melissa peed herself. It was that stressful. She was basically a bully. And so that's a part of it. She didn't have her parents to support her going to the spelling bee because they were at the hospital with Spencer. And then there was, I think, a camp thing. It was an event afterwards that she also had to skip because of Spencer being sick. And like I said, the therapist kind of mentions that there's a reason that Melissa's jealous, and that's probably why they're not that close anymore, because they used to be really, really close as kids. And this kind of fits into that this is probably why Melissa is so competitive with Spencer, because Spencer knows that before the spelling bee, they used to do like the spelling bee, they used to practice the spelling bee together, they used to play together, and then it stopped. And this is probably why, because Melissa had to sacrifice having her parents with her at the spelling bee and then skipping something. And even though her mother's like, well, I'm sure she understood, it's like, I don't know, Melissa's not that understanding of anything, so probably not. When she was sick, she actually suffered like a week of blackout. She woke up a week later when she got better, and she could not remember anything after the museum. She didn't remember leaving the museum and getting mugged. She only remembers bits and pieces of the night that Allison disappeared. She remembers arguing. She remembers shoving Allison, and Allison says something so weird. She's like, friends don't shove friends, which I was thinking is giving very much 11 from Stranger Things. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Spencer does remember later on a little more about that night, and I'll get to that near the end, because that comes near the end. Like I said, there's always a big event, and that's where we get all the info we need. Second chapter is from our book cover queen, Aria, and her story is very interesting. If you remember from the last book, the second book, Aria was tasked by A to tell Ella about Byron's affair with Meredith, and she did not. She was too busy dating her friend's ex. And so basically Ella's mad at her when she finds out. She's like, you knew, you know? And she talks about how difficult it is living at the home with Ella, because Ella's kind of like cold. So she offers to move out, and Ella, like the awful parent she is, says, maybe you should. Which, like, where would she move? For some reason, apparently her dad just does not own a phone. Very important for later on. He just does not believe in phones. And I'm like, sir, this might be 2006, but it's not 1906. What do you mean I don't believe in phones? They're very real. And so she's like, maybe you should. Mind you, Aria's 16, 17. Where is your minor daughter gonna move? You guys are middle class. Unlike the other ones, they're not like this. She's not that loaded to just go check in a hotel, right? Think. She actually moves in with Sean. I'm a Sean hater. And it's weird. I think that's so weird. Like, they've barely been dating a day. 2 a week. Oh, it's just weird. She basically says the same stuff that Hanna did in the first chapter when she was still dating Sean, that, you know, he's so, like, perfect looking and la 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 la. And she talks about how attracted she is to him, even though he's a typical Rosewood boy. And she moves into his house, and she describes how his family's so opposite the Montgomerys. Sean's stepmother keeps the house very clean and tidy, you know, perfectly clean. They talk at the dinner table, you know, have dinner together, you know, la la. And she talks about how she can't study because it's too quiet. And I'm like, I don't know. Put on Netflix. And there is this thing that keeps happening as a side plot in the books, starting from this book. There is a Rosewood stalker going around town. Nobody knows who they are. It's just this person that people keep seeing around. The Rosewood stalker keeps coming up. And at Sean's house is his big ass mansion house. She sees the Rosewood stalker for a second, by the window. She's like, I saw a figure, a movement, a shadow. I'm pretty sure the Rosewood Stalker, like, hypothetical, I'm gonna go ahead and say, when I was reading book 3, my first thought was, that just feels like A. But at the same time, I was wondering if it's supposed to be someone else, because I was like, is A just really bad at what they do? Because how does the whole town know of your existence? You know what I mean? It was just a little strange, but it's something that keeps coming up. They keep seeing people around. The news keeps reporting it. Everyone's talking about it. Anyways, so her English class starts reading The Scarlet Letter. If you don't know The Scarlet Letter, that's what Easy A is based on. Byron gets a phone and calls her, and she's like, and he's like, I missed you, honey, you know. And then he says something about how he's at Hollis if she wants to meet him, waiting for Meredith, you know, for her class to end. And Aria's like, oh, he's with that harlot? And with her little half-cocked plan, after reading 2 pages or 2 chapters of The Scarlet Letter, she goes in to Meredith's class, takes a red paint and paints A on Meredith's dress. And that's actually why she gets kicked out of her house, is because she tells Ella that, and Ella's like, as someone who read the book, Ella's like, no, that character, the main character, is supposed to be a sympathetic figure. Now you just made her a martyr, like, and that's why she's like, maybe I should leave this house. All because she didn't read the book. That's what they say. Never judge a book by the first 2 pages you read. You gotta keep reading. It could get worse. Aria, though she's dating Sean, and Sean is very annoying to me and to her. We're all annoyed. She goes to Ezra's office to ask for an extension on the Scarlet Letter paper. And he's like, what's going on? Did you not like the book or something? And she's, you know, she just has a breakdown. She's like, my dad moved out. I've been moved out. La la. And I painted an A on Meredith's white sundress. And he comforts her. And then they make out. Mind you, at the school he's teaching her at. I don't think it should happen anywhere, but how stupid are you to do it at the school you're teaching at? And so basically that does mean she cheated. And they had been flirty for a while anyways during this book. They had been pretty flirty, even in front of Sean, and she was kind of embarrassed for Ezra to see Sean. And leading up to this moment of them making out, not just kiss, making out at his school office, was just Aria making, you know, references of Sean about like Edgar Allan Poe and stuff, and him just not getting it because he's 16 and dumb. I don't know what to tell you. And she's like, well, I need someone who understands Edgar Allan Poe. They literally kissed because she saw a book collection of Edgar Allan Poe on Ezra's shelf, and she was like, this is the kind of man I should be with. Girl, please. She sees one Edgar Allan Poe book, and she's like, and I need you. I need you. need, I need you. I was so mad. I hate Ezra. I was so happy when they broke up in the first book. I was like cheering. I was like, thank you. They broke up. Why must I suffer? I watched the show. I know they got married in the show. Why must I suffer in the books also? I don't like this man. And mind you, in the books, he doesn't have the baby face he had. He's supposed to be 22, but he doesn't really have a baby face as much. He kind of has like an older look to him. So, you know, I'm imagining someone 50. I know he's supposed to be 22, but I'm imagining 50. Because 22 or not, it's weird. Because you're still her teacher. I don't like this man. I don't want to read anything about him. I want him out of the school. get out. I don't like it. I don't like that. You know what's funny? You know what's funny and ironic? When they kissed in his office, do you know what he was eating? A Happy Meal. There's something so sickly ironic about that he is an adult eating a Happy Meal. I mean, there's no judgment in that. I just think the irony is that he's also kissing a minor. Like I mentioned, Spencer herself thinks that she was Allie's killer because of her blackout. And A actually sends a message to Aria insinuating that Spencer's the killer because she says, you all knew, why did I get a New York accent? You all knew the layout of her backyard, where she was found. But one of you had better access. Or well, somebody had better access. And it kind of is this thing of like trying to make Aria think Spencer is the killer. And I kind of forgot to mention this. My bad. Spencer mentions that her friends, well, Aria, Emily, and Hanna are avoiding Spencer since the reveal about her knowing what Toby did and that Toby took the blame and why he took the blame. It's barely been a month after that, by the way, timeline-wise. If anyone wants to know, it's barely been a month since the Foxy and Toby's death. So, and like I mentioned, at the end of the books, there's always a big event. The big event for this book, it's a really awkward reveal, but the big event for this book is Mona's birthday party. I didn't mention that because that's kind of more of a Hanna thing. And anyways, and I want to mention them as the chapters go, like, because it's Spencer, Aria, Hanna, Emily, this book, and that's how I want to reveal their storylines, but I think it's just awkward because it's Mona's party. But yeah, Spencer and Aria are invited to Mona's party, the big event. I think that's really interesting because let's move on to our third girl, Hanna. Hanna mentions that her and Mona made up because, as you remember, they had a fight at the mall because Mona thought that Hanna was getting close to her friends again, the liars, and she was mad. But I guess they made up and they just don't explain much about it. They made up at the dance, I guess, but I thought they had a fight again because Spencer took Hanna away, but I don't know. I guess they made up, but it's a very fragile relationship because Mona's 17th birthday is coming up, and as well as their friendiversary, which is when they became friends, and this is like something they celebrate, like a dinner, and Mona's still dating Noel's brother, Eric, and she's like, maybe you should invite Noel, and I'm like, why would you do that, to the dinner, and Hannah's like, let's just do boys free, just us. And so when she's about to go get ready for this dinner, she shows up to her house and she's like, why is Emily, Aria, and Spencer's car in my garage, in my backyard? And Wilden, what happened is Wilden had come to their house because, like I said, the video that Aria was recording in the flashback gets leaked to the news and he's there to tell them that. And he's also there to ask questions. What happens, though, is Hanna gets a call from Mona in that exact moment being like, where are you? And she hears the girls in the background, and Mona's a chronic overreactor. Like, the girl will not let Hanna get a word in. She's like, you forget the dinner, you're with them again. Don't talk to me, I'm mad at you. Chill. Ew. And she's like, what the fuck was that? And basically, they all, they kind of want to, they're thinking like, do we confess to Wilden? And, well, at least Emily is. And Hannah's like, no, why would we do that? And they kind of want to confess because of the Jenna thing happening, because Wilden's still like, who do you think killed Allison? Like, is there someone that hated her enough? And they're probably thinking like, yeah, probably Jenna. And but with Toby's, death, that whole thing should be done and taken care of, they're thinking. And Emily's like, I don't know, I feel like we should tell, about A. And the others are like, no. And A literally sends them a message going, "Don't tell." Would you believe somebody tells? Would you believe? Take a guess before I reveal who tells. Take a guess. After Mona thinks Hanna is skipping their friendiversary dinner to hang out with the liars, she invites Naomi and Riley to her court. Her court is something she's trying to... It's like a weird rich people thing. She's having a sweet 17, and she wants a big deal. She wants it to be at the planetarium, and she wants a little court, a little posse, people, dressing, basically like bridesmaids, but if it was for a birthday. And she invites Naomi and Riley to join them, as well as Naomi and Riley's henchwomen. I didn't remember their names. They're not that important. They don't even speak. They're just name mentioned. Naomi and Riley, if you don't remember, are the two girls that rival Mona and Hanna. They don't like them. They are the two people who Hanna had to confess her ED to. Also, Naomi and Riley are Allison's original friends from before she befriended the liars. She actually dumped them to be friends with the liars. Something I'm pretty sure they remember. I'm pretty sure they remember that. So, Hanna sees them at the restaurant, and she's like, "What's going on?" And Mona's like, "I've added them to my posse." And Hanna and Mona have these, like, fake fights where they call each other, like, bitch and stuff. And she was like, something about this felt a little too real, this fake fight. Ooh. Anyways, they go to get their dresses fitted, and I guess they leave without paying the bill. So before she can leave, she's kind of stopped by a new returning face. Lucas in the books is very, very different from the show version. I'm not kidding. The only similar thing is their name. They are so different. Oh my god. Lucas in in the books, is a tall blonde. Which, by the way, something I gotta mention, because it's gonna get more prominent later on. For some reason, everyone in this book is blonde. I know Rosewood is supposed to be like a predominantly white town, like I mentioned. I'm pretty sure Maya is the only person of color for miles around at the school, or at least in this town. But I don't understand, just because it's a white town, why does everyone have to be blonde in this book? It's not even in this town. There are points they leave the town and still people are blonde. I could literally count the number of people who aren't blonde on one hand. I'm pretty sure it's just Aria, Mike, Noel, and Hanna that aren't blonde. And, well, I guess Emily as well. But they keep saying she's a reddish blonde. So, on a technicality. And Maya, but like everybody else is blonde for some reason. Like, and not just blonde, they are all blonde with blue eyes. Why? Have we run out of colors in the palette? Why is that the only option? Also, why they gotta be blue-eyed? Why can't nobody have brown eyes in this way? We have no Italians in this town. Why is everyone just blonde and blue-eyed? Why? It's something that bothered me when I was reading it. It's just every single person they introduce. It's just blonde and blue-eyed. Also, even though, like I said, he's supposed to be like tall, blonde, blue-eyed, like light blonde, by the way. For some reason, the only person I could imagine as... I like to imagine people when I'm reading, it helps the scene play better in my mind. The only person I can imagine as Lucas, the whole time he appears, is literally Cam Cameron from Summer I Turned Pretty. Is the only person I could think of the whole time. I was like, this is Cam Cameron. Anyways, so he's kind of like, hey, somebody has to pay the bill, and she's like, okay. And she mentions a memory of Lucas. Apparently in middle school, he was like really popular, and there was a rumor, or Allison had told Hanna, that he was gonna send her a chocolate box for Valentine's Day. But literally right before that happened, the day of Valentine's Day, he lost his popularity, immediately became an outcast. And Hannah was like, is this because he wanted to hit on me with that? Weird coincidence. Don't love that. Anyways, and that's the entrance of Lucas into our lives. And as soon as she leaves the restaurant, she sees she got a text from Mona asking where she is, and A sent her a message saying, don't trust Mona, she's not your friend, watch her back. Very interesting. Love A warning them. I thought it was really interesting because it wasn't even like a threat. It was just like, Mona's not your friend. So basically, because Naomi and Riley are hanging out with Mona also, they invite this like singer that's, I guess, a big deal. I'm pretty sure it's just someone they made up for the book, to her birthday party. And Hannah's like, no, I'm gonna get her the best gift. And she gets her like skywriting, and it's supposed to say party with Mona, except A gets involved and it says fart with Mona. And Mona is like really mad, and with everything in her head that's been lining up, she gets mad at Hanna and is like, you are disinvited from my party, don't come. And Hannah's like really upset. It's like really embarrassing. And literally as soon as that fight happens, she starts hearing rumors about herself. And that's something I hate. I hate when people stop being friends and immediately they start spouting rumors about each other. Like, I guess you guys weren't friends. Like, it's such a weird one. Like, immediately people just start laughing behind her. And I'm like, girl, what? I would have... I was about to say, I would have beat her ass in public, showed them rumors, but that's just me. No, because that's so annoying. Like, just one fight and she's immediately like spreading rumors about you, about your insecurities. Like, and anyway, she has some water splashed on her from this. It's either a faulty toilet or a drinking fountain. I was just confused the whole time. I was like, I hope it's not the toilet, but I'm pretty sure it's the toilet, unfortunately. Yeah, it is the toilet in the boys' bathroom, which she accidentally walks into, and it splashes her. And Lucas actually comforts her, and they talk, and he's like, I have something that will make you feel better. Just come with me. He apparently can drive a hot air balloon. And I thought he could I thought it was kind of because he worked there, maybe he knew someone, and that's why they could just fly in a hot air balloon together and not date, which they did clarify. But no, they mentioned in the fourth book that it was his dad's hot air balloon. Some people have private jets, and Lucas's dad just owns a hot air balloon. Doesn't your dad? Is your dad lame? Does he not own a hot air balloon? You should go check in on that. And like I said on why Lucas kind of reminded me of Cam Cameron, and that's the only person I could imagine, was Hannah actually opens up to Lucas. She doesn't really say that it's A per se, but she does say somebody, being mean to her through notes and texts, and opens up about her ED. And apparently Lucas is just in every club at the school. And, she's like, what's that about? And he kind of just like, yeah, my brother tried to off himself last year. And that kind of reminded me of that scene in Summer Return Pretty where they're all joking about TikTok therapy, and then he just goes like, yeah, my sister died. That's what it reminded me of. It's just like them joking around and him immediately just being really serious. And I think that's what cemented him reminding me of Cam Cameron. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. During the hot air balloon ride, Lucas mentions he's also not invited to the party and is like, maybe we can play poker together the night of. And everyone's like, yeah, sure. And by the way, they're not very good at this friends thing because he keeps talking about how hot she is. And listen, yeah, but... And immediately after, Hanna actually goes to get a new BlackBerry because she thinks hers is broken because she's not getting any texts. And she sees Mona and Noel's brother at the store while she's getting a new phone, and they talk, and she mentions how during the hot air balloon ride, she saw Mona's roof, and her roof kind of just had this like M and MV, best friends forever, and she was like, you can see that from the roof, and she's like, really? Yeah. And she kind of thinks they made up, and when she gets home, she gets a dress sent to her of the dress that Mona decided for the posse, and she's like, oh my god, we've made up. Last but not least is Emily. Like I mentioned, when they were at Hannah's house and Wilden was asking them questions, Emily was like, we have to tell him about spill some secrets. And the girls, literally all three of them, and A is like, no. And she's like, fine, I won't say A, but I'll say something. Somebody is threatening us. Well, that doesn't go over well, because after she does that, behind their backs, at her swim meet, a big meet, by the way, A sends text to Spencer, Aria, and Hanna inviting them there, especially it was Spencer, I believe, that she was like, well, you better get there, and let me show you what happens when you defy me. The picture of Emily and Maya kissing at the party is plastered all over this meet. What an awful thing to get outed like that. It's awful. And literally Carolyn comes into the lockers like being like girls, what are you so mad about? Ooh, catch that attitude. What the hell is that? Like, she's so mad at Emily, and Emily is like, what's going on? And people coming in with the pictures, some girl is just like closing the shower curtain, just there's a lesbian in the locker room, like, okay. And she goes out and she sees the pictures and she's like, oh my god. And her parents are like really, really mad because they're crazy. And they're like, and when Emily mentioned she was out for hours after the meet, she runs away. But she gets home at 7:17. So I'm like, as someone who's been in high school, I'm pretty sure she was only gone for 2 hours. She was just being dramatic. Anyways, I mentioned this because it's been maybe 2 or 3 hours since she got outed. She ran out that natatorium, that's what they call it, the swim meet, ran away, and she comes home at 7:17. So maybe 2-3 hours, right? Well, school, it has to end like near 3, right? I'm guessing the swim meet starts at 4 or 5, I mention this because she comes home, maybe again 2 hours has passed, and her parents have a conversion therapy person in the house. And all I could think during this is, do you have this person on speed dial? Could you imagine in 2 hours these people have somehow gotten a hold of a conversion therapist? I don't like calling them therapists, but she's gotten, they've gotten a hold of her. And I'm like, there's no way this person was in like the phone book or something, right? Like, how do you even look that up? This is like before Google was as good as it is. Internet sucked in 2006, right? Why do you know this person's number? How does that work? And that's all I could think. I was like, why is this person just in the house? Why do you have this person on a speed dial? What the hell? And her, this conversion therapist is like, this is really good. And all I could think during her little speech was, this reminds me of But I'm a Cheerleader. It was very much giving But I'm a Cheerleader, except But I'm a Swimmer. And this camp is called Treetops. No bottoms allowed. Anyways, it's called Treetops. And after she leaves, the lady, her parents are like, either you go to this conversion therapy or we're sending you to Iowa to be with your aunt and uncle. And unlike Bel Air, this is not like a rich aunt and uncle. This is possibly Amish aunt and uncle. Yeah, they're like, go to conversion therapy or go to Iowa. we won't have the lesbian in our house. And she's like, I guess treetops, like I don't want to go to Iowa. And it's like, girl, I will neither. That's not a real place. It's one of those mid-state things that don't exist. So after Emily gets outed at like this swim meet wasn't just like a swim meet, it was like a big competition, like everyone was there, you know. And now like every guy knows and is definitely fetishizing her, because every single guy at the school just starts speaking to her, you know. It's really strange. They are like, Emily, you should, I think it was Noel Kahn that was like, I can have a party again, set up the photo booth if that's what you're into. And by the way, Mike Montgomery is a little weirdo in this book. So many times, I know he's supposed to be 15, but when they're watching that video of the flashback, he literally is like, oh, Spencer, and Spencer's 13 in that video. Like, I know he's 15, but that's still weird. Don't love that. And then when Emily gets outed, he literally goes to Aria and is like, you got her number? What the fuck is wrong with you? It's really weird. It's weird and I don't like it. So she's supposed to meet this treetops person, not counselor. It's like a past patient, past client that the conversion therapy worked for. And so she's about to meet them for lunch, and Maya sees her and she's like, come into the kiln, we can chat. Why would kilns be sexy? What's so sexy about wet clay? And Emily's kind of like, oh, I can't do this. And Maya got on my nerves because she literally goes like, Emily literally tells her like, oh, they're gonna send me to conversion therapy or to Iowa. And Maya's literally like, stand up to them. Tell them they can't do this to you. You know that awkward moment when your girlfriend tells you it's either conversion therapy or the Amish life for me, and you tell her, stand up to your parents. Girl, stand up for what? And they're about to send her to the Amish or to conversion therapy. What's she supposed to do about it? Like, what? So Emily breaks up with her. She's like, I have to be not this. I have to fix myself. And she meets Rebecca Johnson, or Becca, in the church. Becca's like, it's worked for me. And she's like, my ex, Wendy, and I, we're friends. And Emily's like, oh, maybe all three of us could, hang. And Becca's like, yeah, sure. So they go ice skating together. And would you believe it? Would you believe the conversion therapy did not, in fact, work for Becca, and Becca and Wendy literally start making out as soon as Emily leaves them alone for 1 second to go to the bathroom. And Becca's like, yeah, no, it does not work. Yeah, no, obviously. And Mona, like I said, invited everyone to her birthday party. Do you know when she invites Emily? Emily literally got outed, and these boys that are fetishizing her are coming up and hitting on her immediately. And Mona's like, here's an invite to my party. Girl, time and place. Damn, imagine being outed to the whole school and your conservative crazy parents who have a speed dial for conversion therapy, and this bitch comes around telling you, you're invited to my party. Girl, this is not the time for that. This is not the time. Not the time. Is like, yeah, no, conversion therapy obviously does not work. Emily's like, can you drop me off at the party? I have someone to talk to, Maya. And she talks to Maya, and she's like, yeah, no, I love you. And Maya's like, I love you. And they're like, let's try. Because Emily realizes Maya's right. She was actually suspicious of Maya for a little bit, that Maya is the one that sent out the photos, because Maya wanted them to be public so bad. Maya's like, well, what's the point of hiding our relationship now, because now everybody knows, like, what's the point? Yeah. And they kiss at the planetarium where Mona's birthday party is being held. And for some reason, Kathleen is there, catches them. She's like, Emily, whatever her middle name is, Fields. You might be like, why is Kathleen there? Well, let me tell you. Take a guess. A did in fact call her and tell her your gay daughter is being gay at the planetarium, or somewhere along those lines. And she was like, I don't believe that. My daughter would not do that. We're sending her to a camp to fix that problem. No, she literally goes like, no, I didn't believe it at first, because no. And she takes her home. She's like, we're sending you to Iowa. Enough. Spencer is getting ready to go to the party, and she sees her parents playing, Scrabble with Melissa. And like I said, her parents were icing her out up until she got nominated for this award. And now they're like, you're worthy of our attention and food again. We will stop starving you. And they're like, well, it's a little early for the party. Have some champagne. Let's play Scrabble. And during them playing Scrabble, Veronica mentioned she read a little bit of the essay and it was really good. And as you would expect, Spencer is really touchy about the essay being mentioned because she didn't write it and she doesn't want Melissa to find out. Well, Melissa gets a text from A of her essay, which, by the way, isn't there like a character count or something? I don't think she can just send that. I mean, I know this is fictional, but come on. Listen. Look at this phone. Imagine having to type all this in there. She starts reading the first sentence of the essay, and she's like, this is my essay. Why did I just get sent this? And Veronica's like, no, that's Spencer's essay. And Melissa finds out that Spencer plagiarized the essay, and, she tells her parents, and they start a fight, and it's like very aggressive, but at the same time, it's very sisters. Yeah. And they fight, and I don't understand who goes upstairs first, but they're upstairs fighting now, up the stairs. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving. And like I said, Spencer's been getting bits and pieces of the night that Allison disappeared, bits and pieces. And when she shoves Melissa down the stairs, well, she doesn't, she just shoves her a little bit, and Melissa holds on the railing. Not strong enough, I guess, loser, because she falls off the stairs. That reminds her of her shoving Allison again, back and Allison's head hitting the back wall in a little crack noise. And that's where it ends. Then we have Aria. So Sean is urging her to go to this party because he's like, they're my friends and I want you to meet them. Ironic, because first of all, Mona's not your friend. And second of all, if your friend is supposed to be like Noel, for example, why would you want to date his crush? What kind of friendship are you leading, loser? I just don't like Sean. And she's on the phone call, right? And she's like, somebody's calling me. Guess who it is? Ezra. He's like, I want to see you. I'm sorry, no, she said he had a gravelly voice, so this is how it would be. I want to see you. And she's like, mind you, she literally just told Sean to hold, and she was like, I'm coming. And she shows up to his house, apartment, whatever, and she's like skipping the party, and they sleep together. I don't like that. Mind you, they sleep together after he gives her some drinks. So not only are you sleeping with this minor, you're providing alcohol for her. Disgusting. She's not even old enough to drink alcohol. Me acting like they're not drinking at these parties they keep having. She's not old enough. She's definitely not. Like, she drinks a lot. And then they sleep together. And then my favorite part of the series happens. While they're in bed, the police break into his house and arrest him. Oh my god, I was so excited when I read that. I was like, oh my god, yes. I was so scared it was going to be a dreamscape. I kid you not. That one scene in the show where she thinks he gets arrested, but it was a dream. I was so excited. I was like, yes. He gets arrested. It's not a dream. And how does he get arrested, you may ask? Well, A sent Sean a picture of Aria and Ezra kissing in his office. And he's like, you cheated on me. And I reported him because he kissed a student in his office. The only good thing Sean has done in his entire appearance in these books. And he's like, well, that's not okay. It's not okay. And he's like, and you are a cheater. I'm breaking up with you. I put your shit in the porch. We're done. And he leaves. And she's just like, as I said, Hanna received a dress that, and she thought this was Mona's way of making up with her and inviting her back to the party. And she mentions that this dress is so tight. Like, she can barely get it on. It's like super tight. It's not supposed to be. It's just a small dress. Size too small. She shows up to the party and she realizes Mona changed the colors of the dress, and the dress she's wearing is actually a replica of Mona's. And, there's a little fight, and A had actually sent Hanna a text after the restaurant thing saying, after the Skywriter thing, telling her that Mona got lipo, which is something that Hanna doesn't, use as a rumor up until this moment, because she's like, I would never do that to Mona. Which I'm like, that's nice and all that you're loyal, but she's doing it to you, so how about you start doing it to her? Is it dark? I'm sorry. It might be really dark, I'm sorry. Anyways, and she, in that moment, she falls over, rips a little bit of her dress, and humiliated, she tells her, no, I know you got lipo. And Mona's like, no, I don't. And she just walks away, and she's like, oh, A lied to me? Which was such a weird lie. It was so weird. It's not like that did anything. If it was supposed to humiliate Hanna for lying or whatever, like, do you know how rumors work in high school? It doesn't matter if it's true or not. She says Mona got lipo, and there's gonna be like people that believe it. Like, I don't understand what that lie was supposed to do, but whatever. Anyways, she falls over again on the Jumbotron, can see her dress splitting, and guess who helps her? Lucas. He apparently was invited to the party. He just said he wasn't, to make, Hanna feel better. And, he takes her to the Hollis library and gives her a change of clothes, and they start making out at this library, and they mention like it's like midnight, it's empty and whatever, but for some reason they're making out and he takes his shirt off, and all I could think was why is your shirt off? I don't understand why he took his shirt off. I still don't understand to this moment. And like I said, there's a Rosewood stalker around. And Hanna hears a noise and she thinks it's the Rosewood stalker. It's actually the janitor or whoever being like, what the hell are you guys doing in here? And they like leave. Lucas finally puts the shirt back on and they leave. And while Hannah's driving, she receives a text from A saying, don't believe everything you hear. I guess the lipo thing wasn't true. Except A messed up. Because Hanna got a new phone, right? So she hasn't, because she had her old phone and her contacts, like all of them transferred over since middle school, so she's never had to make a new one. But for some reason, when she was buying this phone, none of her contacts transferred over. So on her new phone, for the first time, A's number was not blocked. She could actually see a number that texted her, and she knew whose number it was. So she like calls Emily, and Aria's trying to talk to Emily about something. I had to go turn on the lights because I was about to disappear just like Allison did. So Emily gets a call from Aria, who's in the diner because it's the only thing that's open at midnight when Sean kicks her out of the house. Which, listen, I get, but at the same time, like, where's she supposed to go? Think about that, man. Anyways, so she is, because the news keeps showing the video over and over again. So she's at the diner watching it, and a waitress is like, watching it over her, like, shoulder, because Aria has the full video while the news only has a partial. And when she's watching the video, the waitress is like, oh, they're a cute couple. No one ever talks about the boyfriend. And she's like, what boyfriend? In the video, Aria finally sees something new she had never seen and didn't remember from that day. When they're interviewing Ian in the like little role play thing, he was sitting in middle of Allison and Spencer. And in the video, you can see like Spencer looking in awe at Ian, but you can also see, apparently, Allison and Ian locking fingers. And that finally clues them into the older guy that Allison was seeing that summer. She's like, oh my god, it's Ian. And like I said, she already suspects that she thinks Spencer killed Allie, and she knows Spencer had a crush on Ian, so she's like, they're always competing. And so she calls Emily to tell her about this, and Emily gets a call from Hanna telling her, and they do a little three-way call, and they're like, and she's like, oh my god, you guys have to get to our old hangout, Elementary Day Park, or no, Rosewood Elementary Park, and I know who A is. And then Hanna calls Spencer, who's now woken up in her room, locked in, because her dad and her parents believe she was a danger. She's a danger to herself and others because she pushed Melissa down the stairs. Like, okay, overreact much? And I just don't like Melissa. And so she gets a call from Hanna saying, I found something new. You have to come to the park. So Hannah's there alone, waiting for them. And she sees this SVU, and she's like, the windows are tinted, can't see nothing. But then she finally sees Emily and Aria come in. And before they can reach her, the SUV runs her over. And Aria sees Spencer looking crazed or crazy in the woods near the parking lot. And she disappears immediately. She doesn't even meet them. And they get a text while Emily's on the phone with 911 saying, she knew too much. And that's where book 3 ends. And we go into book 4. Book 4, unbelievable. Emily on the cover, so it's Emily's book. And honestly, plotline wise, it really is. Though Hanna, pretty strong contender also. The book begins with Aria, and Aria is in the emergency room. And she is there with Emily, Hannah's parents, Lucas, Mona, and Wilden is there too, because remember, Wilden and Hannah's mom are dating. Wilden's chill in this book, by the way. He is. I just want to mention that. He's a chill guy. He's so chill, like, and he's a nice guy that I've honestly recast him in my mind, and you can do with that what you will. I think of him as Brendan, I can't pronounce his last name, from his role as Richard in Titans. And that's what I'm imagining. So, do with that what you will. So, Aria is in the hospital in the emergency room, and they're all waiting to hear about Hanna. And Mona's apparently crying. And the doctor comes out, and they're like, okay, she has a broken arm, a little bit of internal injuries, and she's in a coma. And for some reason, Hannah's dad was like, I've heard that if they're in a coma long enough, they might not wake up. And it's like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Weirdo. At least this time somebody didn't bring Kate and Isabel. So she pulls Wilden aside to be like, I think Spencer killed Allie. And he's like, what? No. Because think about that. Somebody would have had to be stronger than Allison to push her in that hole. Do you think she dragged her into that pool? Hole. 13-year-old Spencer. Think. And Aria's like, oh. Okay, well, now you say that. Guess not. And then Byron shows up at the hospital and he's like, I heard on the news, somebody was hurt. And she's like, no, it's not me, it's Hanna. And he's like, where are you living? And she's like, nowhere. And he's like, well, move in with me and Meredith. And she's about to say no, but it's like, girl, where are you gonna go? Out. Byron and Meredith live still on the Hollis thing, so they only live a block or two away from Ezra. And Wilden tells her when Aria is trying to talk to him about Spencer that they released him because lack of evidence. And I'm like, what lack of evidence? He was in bed with the minor. Like, what more evidence do you need? And they're like, if you don't press charges, we can't really do anything. And she's not about to. And she goes to meet him when she moves into Meredith and Byron's house, and they make out in front of his house, and they're making out so much she takes his shirt off. And that's like, why is everybody's shirt off? I just feel like makeouts, you don't need to have your shirt off. Why is your shirt off? Put your shirt back on, especially because you're an adult. You can't have your shirt off in front of these children like Aria. Put your shirt back on. Put your shirt back on. Weirdo. Mind you, they're making out in public and everybody can see them. Evidence. And he gets fired, and though they won't put it on his permanent record, he skips town. He's like, I'm gonna leave. Good. And he tells her, when you're older and you still want to do this, come find me. No, get the fuck out of here. Come find me. Because Meredith is a teacher at Hollis, she gets a free class every semester, and she gifts it to Aria, and Aria picks this art class. Well, very good luck of hers, because the art class she picks happens to be the same one Jenna Marshall, or they keep referring to her as Jenna Kavanaugh in this book, but I might still call her Marshall because that's how I think about her. But she's in this class. And Aria kind of like freaks out about that. And during an activity in the class, she says her name is Jessica. If this at all sounds familiar to you, it's because this was actually a storyline in the show. So Mike is still mad at Aria, just as he was in the third book. He's been mad ever since he found out when he was trying to hit on Emily after she got outed, that Aria did in fact know about Byron's affair before Iceland, so for quite a few years, and didn't tell. And he's like mad at her about it. And he is even more mad now because he knows that she cheated on Sean, which I don't care. Like, listen, I don't like Sean. How am I supposed to feel sorry for a man who immediately got together with a different girl without waiting a week after like breaking up with his girlfriend, and the new girl being her friend, and him being like, I don't want to sleep with anyone, but immediately I want to sleep with you. I'm not feeling sorry for this man. I don't feel sorry for him at all. Mike is still mad at her, especially because he found out not only is he living with Byron and Meredith, she cheated on Sean. And to make it up to her, Aria gets a text from A that says, Meredith is working at Hooters. So she takes her little brother to Hooters. So this Hooters is right next to the police station. And so while they're there, and Mike gets mad at her, and he's so mad at her, he's not even like checking out the waitresses. That's how mad this horny teenager is at her. And she's like, I am actually getting threatened, and she confesses the whole A thing. And he's like, tell the police. And she's like, I can't tell the popo. No, I definitely got like a text that said I can't tell the popo. And he was like, no, tell the popo and I'll protect you. I got you. And so she goes over to them to tell them. Oh, so I'm sorry. Could you imagine me like in court? They're like, how did you get this confession? And he's like, I was having lunch at Hooters and this 16-year-old just approached me with her 15-year-old brother. Aria, in all her chapters, is constantly visiting Hanna. She's constantly visiting. She's constantly there. And she's either there or at art class with Jenna. And there's this activity where they have to make a mask. And it's really awkward talking about some of these stuff because they're connected to other chapters. And I'm like, I don't want to mention too much. But yeah, they have to make a mask. And Jenna can tell Aria was frowning, just feeling her face. And she was like, if she can tell that, she could tell I'm Aria. And now that she knows, well, her theory has been dismissed about Spencer killing Allie. She's like, who hated Allie this much? Jenna. So she runs out of that class. The second chapter is Spencer. So Spencer, if you remember, ran out as soon as she saw Hanna got hit. And when she wakes up the next morning, her parents, after she pushed her sister downstairs, her parents tell her and Melissa that they're done with this like fighting. They're like, what's this contempt y'all have for each other? And it's like really weird because all of the animosity between Melissa and Spencer is literally definitely the parents' fault. So it's like, let's think. Let's think. So they decide, you girls were so happy when you were at the beach house, your grandma's beach house. So we're gonna go back there. By the way, this beach house is huge. I highlighted on my iPad while I was reading her description of this house. Even though Nana Hastings' craftsman style house had 8 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and a private path to the beach, a deluxe playroom, a home theater, a gourmet chef's kitchen, and stickly furniture throughout, Spencer's family had affectionately called it the Taco Shack. Perhaps it was because Nana's mansion in Longboat Key, Florida, had wall frescoes, marble floors, 3 tennis courts, and a temperature-controlled wine cellar. Do you see how rich this family is? They're like, the beach house. The beach house could store a small town in it, the beach house. So her parents decide to go to the yacht club, which she mentions they're probably only going because they're members of it. And they're like, you girls hang out now. And Spencer goes up to her room there, and that's when she gets a call from Mona. And Spencer actually does not know what Hannah's condition is. Because, she ran out the woods and then immediately was taken to New Jersey to this beach house. And Mona calls her and she's like, let's have a vigil for Hanna. And you're a planner, so help me plan. And Spencer's like, well, the country club. It's like, I'll be back after this weekend. We'll go. We'll plan. And then she hears a noise. And like I said, the Rosewood Stalker is something they've all been thinking about, so she's been really on edge. And so she tells Melissa. Melissa's like, let's go to the playroom where they used to hang out all the time. And they find out that it's actually a seagull trapped in something, and that's what the noise was. But this kind of leads them to start talking to each other, and Melissa had a drink stashed in there from the time her and Ian were there. And they start drinking these mini teacups, and they start chatting, and they kind of forge a bond like they used to as kids. They talk through some things. And Melissa actually becomes pretty supportive about Spencer winning the Golden Orchid, even though she stole her essay. And they're kind of like, I miss you, Lala. And Spencer feels so guilty in that moment that she confesses that she kissed Ian and that Allison was dating Ian. Spencer, well, Aria found out because of the video, but Spencer found out about Allison and Ian dating because she mentions that when after pushing Melissa down the stairs and, remembering more about that night, she remembers what the fight was about, more or less. Basically, Allison was always writing in her diary. And she mentions that night, like, you're so jealous of me. You read it in my diary. And Spencer's like, girl, I did not read your diary. She's like, always accusing me of reading this damn diary. And Allison basically antagonizes Spencer and talks about how she's dating Ian, and the only reason Ian kissed Spencer was because Allison asked him to see how much he'd be willing to do for her. Weird. So he's dating two 12-year-olds. And this leads them to the fight and her pushing Allison into the wall. And so she confesses to Melissa because she's like, I really want to start on a clean slate, And Melissa says that she knew. She says Ian is not a good liar, so she always knew, which makes the whole situation weirder for me. First Ian, now Ren, But also at the same time, why... See... So she knew that Ian kissed 12-year-old Spencer and dated 12-year-old Allison at 17 and still got back together with him during this present time. Like, I'm sorry, call me cold-hearted, call me heartless, but I don't think I would be doing that. Like, if I had a partner that, like, when I was 17 and they dated, like, a 12-year-old behind my back, cheating is one thing. Cheating with a minor is another. That's so much worse. I mean, I don't think I would forgive cheating, but I would definitely not forgive cheating with a minor. So to get back together with this man, anyways, because they're such on a good bond, Spencer confesses that she thinks she killed Allison because of the memory, and Melissa reassures her that it takes a certain kind of person. She's real suspicious about it. She's like, it takes a certain kind of person to kill, and that's not you, Spencer. Thank you. Little weird, but okay. Hanna gets hit by a car. She's in a coma for 3 days. And so I mentioned the books start with a flashback. For the third book, it was the video. For the fourth book, it's this memory they had. It's such a strange one to describe because I barely know what happened. It was really strange. So the girls go over to hang out with Allison at her house, but Allison is wearing this. I'm gonna mention it because I don't know what happened. I'm scared that if I don't mention, it's gonna come up later. So she's wearing this halter top and with a bow in the back, and her hair's all put up, and her mother kicks the girls out the room and tells them to go to the porch so she can speak. This is the day before their 7th grade graduation, and the day before Allison disappears. So she tells them to go to the porch, and when Allison comes down, she's in a different outfit and she's kind of like acting strange. She's not responding correctly. So it's like a really strange memory. It's the girls are like telling her that they're gonna have to sleep over at Spencer's barn because Melissa's going to Prague right after graduation. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this. Rosewood Day is apparently a middle school and high school combination, so they're all graduating from there the same day. And so she sees Melissa and Ian. Allison sees Melissa and Ian on her backyard. And like I said, she keeps antagonizing Spencer. So Spencer thinks about the whole kissing Ian thing. And so she antagonizes Melissa too. But Spencer kind of comes to the realization that might have not been as much about her as it might have been about the affair that Allison was having with Ian. But the flashback is something that Hanna keeps reliving like Groundhog Day in her memory, in her head while she's in the coma. She literally wakes up and asks, where's Allison? And she is told, and so are the people there, like Lucas and Mona and her parents, that Hanna does not remember anything after receiving the dress from Mona, she thinks, for the party. That's all she remembers. So she does not remember who A is. So she has no memory. She does not know why Lucas keeps visiting her, because in her memory they just hung out at, doing a hot air balloon thing, and that's that. She's like, I don't know why this man keeps visiting me. Nice and all. She's like, he could be a really good boyfriend if he wasn't a loser. So unlike the show where she loses a spleen and breaks her leg, in the book, Hanna breaks her arm and has a few scars and stitches. That's what she keeps saying. She kind of makes it sound like she's Harvey Dent from the DC comics, but it just kind of sounds like she has 2 stitches on her chin with a black thread, and that's all there is. She makes it sound like she's Frankenstein. Like, I get it, but like, anyways, the vigil they were holding for her at the country club, Hanna wakes up, so she's like, well, no need for that. Let's turn it into a masquerade, all because, she wants to cover her face. And Mona, keeps showing up, and she feels so guilty for the fight they had at her party. And since Hanna doesn't remember the humiliation, she forgives Mona, but Lucas and Mona, hate each other. It's, really funny. It's really funny. It's terribly funny. And so basically they decide to have a masquerade, which is why Aria when she was doing the mask thing with Jenna, she was like, I'll probably wear this to my friend's masquerade. So when she's in the hospital, the boys, Noel Kahn, Mason Byers, whoever that is, I don't remember him. I remember James Freed, and I don't hear him in here. So Noel Kahn, Mike Montgomery, Sean show up to her hospital room at the same time as Lucas. So they show up, and they don't ever say this, but I'm gonna go with my interpretation, and so are you, because you were listening to me. I like to think that Noel and Hanna are best friends. That's what I like to believe. Because I feel like, the Mona thing, I don't really think Mona and Hanna are that close. I mentioned that before. I mentioned that, when I was talking about book 3. I just don't think they're that good of friends. So I feel like the only consistent friend she's had is literally Noel. And I think it's so funny that in the show they forgot that Noel and Hanna were friends before Aria showed up and the whole A thing began. But I don't forget. Missing their friendship. Literally, Noel's the only one that goes so hey, did you and Mona make up? What happened that part? What happened to that fight? At the party? And I'm like, he's a real one. Though he's a little weird, he's a real one. And something else I want to mention is I'd been thinking this when I was reading the first 2 books, because Mike got mentioned in Emily's chapters in the first 2 books, and Aria's obviously, and I think once in Spencer's. And I thought it was really, really interesting that he never got mentioned in Hannah's chapters, because him and Hanna run in the same friend groups. Noel and whoever's next to Noel. They run in the same circles, but I think this is the first time they've interacted. Yeah, this is the first time, because the last time they interacted was when Emily got outed, and Mike is to Aria, oh, you got kicked out of the house, but he wasn't talking to her. Hanna was just right next to Aria when that conversation happened. So this is the first time they full on interact, which I think is so interesting, because I would have suspected they would have interacted more, because by interacted I mean she doesn't even mention him ever, and I'm like, but you guys are at the same party. Anyways, they're just in her hospital room when Lucas shows up, and it's very awkward, and I'm like, how big is this hospital room? Because then Mona shows up, and I'm like, again, how big is this hospital room? I know it's private, but how big? And Mona gives her this mask for the masquerade ball they're throwing. That's like a Dior mask, and I'm like, damn, none of my friends give me a Dior mask. They also don't run me over with a car. But basically, after the boys and Mona leaves, Lucas is like, what about the fight? Has she not told you? And Hannah's like, I don't care. And Lucas kisses Hanna, and then he's like, do you remember? It's so unserious. I'm sorry. It is so unserious. Like, what do you think this is? I'm sorry. It was cute and all, but it was just so unserious. Just being like, I'm gonna kiss you and you're gonna remember everything. This is not a movie. It's a book. But it's like, I was laughing so hard when he kissed her and went, do you remember? I'm gonna need you to be serious. First, you take your shirt off in a library. Now this. I can't keep defending you. I really can't. I'm gonna need you to stop doing this. It's really, really awkward. And so basically, Hanna keeps thinking about that, but she doesn't think too much about it, because Hanna, like I mentioned before, is really, really big on popularity. And she's like, he's a loser. And I forgot to mention this, my bad, because I didn't mention it because it was really hard to explain. When they're in the hot air balloon, like I mentioned, Hanna in middle school found out he had a crush on her, was going to send her chocolates for Valentine's Day, but then he got turned into a loser. How that happened was Allison at his soccer game, which, another thing, Sean also plays soccer. Blonde man playing soccer, she has a type. Anyways, Allison asked him if he's a hermaphrodite. I can't pronounce it, you know what I mean. And he didn't know what it was, so he was like, I don't know, because he doesn't know what it is, because they were like 13. And she kind of like tells everyone like, oh my god, he is, and like that's I guess why he becomes a loser. And Hanna was like, oh, I can't believe she would do that. But anyways, that's why they all think he's a loser. And Hanna was like, what's your opinion on Lucas to Mona? And Mona was like, he's a loser. And she was like, yeah, so I'm not gonna date him. He's a loser. We're gonna skip real quick to Spencer real quick to intertwine a few things. So Spencer, after returning from New Jersey, visits Hanna at the hospital, and she finds out that, like Aria found out, that Hanna does not remember who A is. She does not know who it is. And when she's planning Hannah's now vigil turn masquerade party with Mona at the country club, they actually, hang out and have fun together, become friends. And Mona reveals that she has also been receiving texts from A. And, this is a shocker, because they were just thinking that A was only threatening the girls. And now we're going to skip over to Emily. I usually really like to just tell their storylines before I connect them, but this is going to be a difficult one, so stick with me. You might be wondering why I haven't mentioned Emily at all. I mentioned Spencer visited her, Hanna at the hospital, Aria visited Hanna. Emily has not, because Emily, after being caught kissing Maya, gets sent to Iowa. Which, I mean, it's insane on its own, but she literally just saw her best friend get hit by a car, and they were like, okay, well, you don't need to know how she is. We're just gonna send you to Iowa. So she arrives in Iowa, and by the way, the airport, just keep this in mind, the airport is an hour away from the house. It's not walking distance. It's like middle of nowhere. Anyways, she gets to this house, and she says they're almost Amish, kind of. That's what the description she gives. People kept saying she gets sent to the Amish. When I heard about this book, she doesn't get sent to the Amish. They're kind of like the Amish. They're not Amish. I'm pretty sure they're not. So this house is weird. Her cousin Abby is literally wearing all beige outfit, no makeup, nothing, la la la. And they're sharing a room. In the room, she's like, oh, it looks like it has not been lived in. What the hell? And when it becomes 8 o'clock, Abby gets into her little makeup outfit, her little tube top and denim skirt, and she's like, we're gonna go party. So they go party at this little place, and it's just all these people in Iowa just partying and drinking, and that's where Emily meets Trista. Trista is this blonde, blue-eyed girl, again, blonde, who looks, description-wise, sounds a lot like she looks like Allison, like a lot. And mind you, Emily doesn't even know if her and Maya are broken up or not, because they got back together at Mona's party, but like then she got escorted out to Iowa, so who knows. And they kind of flirt at the party, but nothing, they don't kiss, nothing really happens. And then the next morning, literally she has not been here a day, somehow the aunt and uncle find out about the party. Her cousins, the 2 brothers and the girl, blame Emily. They're like, she threatened us. She told us to take her to the party. Gun to our head. Like, how does that even work? She just got here. How does she know about this party? And they're like, you have to leave our house, heathen. You gotta go. You have to leave. We're gonna drive you to the airport, and then your parents can figure out something for you. And mind you, Emily knows nothing about what's happening in Rosewood, because the first day there, they took her phone. So she's like, screw this. So she packs her stuff up, takes her phone, and leaves. And they say she ran away. She not ran away. You were kicking her out to the airport. You guys were like, we're going to drop you up at the airport and you can figure out something for yourself. What? So she gets a ticket from Greyhound to a different place, and it's still Iowa. And so she's sitting at this diner. They turn on the news, and she sees the news about Hanna. And this is the first time she's found out what happened to Hanna since they saw her get hit by a car, because like she got hit by a car and immediately she like got sent to Iowa. Here's about Hanna, and she calls Aria. She turns on her phone because she actually left her charger in Iowa. She turns on her phone and she's like, I just found out about Hanna. You know, sorry I didn't call you guys back. Just found out about Hanna. Then the news also shows her sister and her parents saying that Emily's missing. She ran away from Iowa and we just want her back. And she's like, oh, time to buy a ticket for Rosewood. I gotta go home. And if you remember in the show, Pam starts accepting Emily after Emily gets hate crimes by Paige's dad. That does not happen in this book. Kathy picks her up from Greyhound Station, and she drives her to the hospital Hannah's in so she could see Hanna. And literally while she parks in the hospital parking lot, she's like, your dad and I have been reading Dr. Phil, and I guess you being gay is fine. And I was thinking when she said Dr. Phil, I was like, oh, I guess that blonde woman must not have had her show by then. Literally, she pulls out from a Barnes & Noble bag a DVD of Finding Nemo. And she's like, there's a gay woman in this. You'll like this movie. And Emily's like, oh, it's probably because the gay woman voiced the fish. Fishes swim. Gay swimmer. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sweet, I guess, that they accepted her. I mean, it is sweet. It's just weird that it took her running away and disappearing in middle of nowhere, Iowa, for that to happen. But it's sweet. It's just kind of funny to be like, Here's Finding Nemo, we accept you now. Be gay, gay. In gym class, Maya and Emily talk, and she's like, yeah, my parents accept me now. Except their relationship is really weird now since Emily met Trista in Iowa. And so basically Maya's like, should we hang out today? And Emily's like, no, I got dinner with my family. Come to find out, this family dinner, her parents invited Maya as well as, I keep saying Maya like Riley from Girl Meets World. Maya and well as Topher, who's Carolyn, Emily's sister's boyfriend, and it's like this family dinner. And unlike the dinner they had in the show, everyone actually likes Maya. They are actually very chill with her. They think she's pretty cool, pretty chill, and you know, they like her. And this kind of pisses Emily off a little bit because she's like, okay, so what was that whole thing where you guys were sending me to Iowa? Which, listen, if somebody tried to send me to Iowa, I'd be pissed too. What the hell am I supposed to do in Iowa? If I have people from Iowa watching this, no offense. So she kind of runs into the bathroom, and Maya tries to comfort her, but after she and tells her that they got nominated for best couple, but it's not best couple, it's most likely to be together at the 5-year reunion, whatever the hell that means. And so when she leaves the bathroom, Emily finds a note from A in her bag, and she notes that the note smells like banana gum. Banana gum is something that Maya chews, and it's apparently Maya's the only person in this whole country that chews it. And that's not an exaggeration, because when she asked Maya about the banana gum thing, because now she's suspicious of Maya, which is weird because like it's not like Maya is A. What would her motive be? But anyways, she asks Maya about the gum. Maya tells her that her dad bought her a carton from London because that's the only place this gum is available. Remember that. So they're at the yearbook doing their little photo shoot for this couple or whatever the hell it was, and in walks Trista. This girl jumped on a plane because she heard they were having a masquerade party. She jumped on a plane to see Emily. Is that not weird? Like, before Trista shows up, Maya and Emily are actually looking at an in memoriam, or it's just memoriam, for Allison. It just has photos of Allison. And one of the photos Maya remarks on, she mentions that it doesn't look like Allison, though it is a picture of Allison. And I mention that because I think it's going to be important later. Trust. And now we return to Hanna. Like I said, Mona tells Spencer that she's also receiving texts from A. So the girls and Spencer and Mona show up to Hannah's house, where Spencer reveals this information to them that Mona is a part of this now also. So they're like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? So, you know, now Mona's in the know with them, along with them. And then they start planning more of the party. Now we get a little back to Spencer. It's a little zigzag. Spencer, the day of the party, actually, the morning of, has to go to New York for her finalist interview for the Golden Orchid. And the interview, honestly, is like pretty bad. I don't think she did a good job. I really don't. The interview is really not that important, except to say that Spencer definitely did not do a good job. What is important is they're staying at this hotel for the interview, and she has adjoining rooms with Melissa and Ian. And Ian comes into her room and is like, let's make out. I'm not kidding you. That's what he says. He goes, let's make out. Okay, it might have not been technically illegal when she was 12, but it's 100% illegal now, you weirdo. Weirdo. Because he's literally older than Ezra. Ezra was 22. Esme is 24. But then Melissa wakes up. She was sleeping because she was drunk, and she wakes up and asks, like, knocks on the door, the adjoining room door, and she's like, Spencer, have you seen Ian? And Ian runs out the room before Melissa opens the door, and it's like really strange, but that's important for later. The main event of book 4, the masquerade ball. At the ball, let's talk about it. And Aria, so after Hooters, remember Hooters? This was like a while ago. Hooters. So she tells the police about A, and then she recalls that her trio, her little phone, is in the art class. So she goes back to pick it up before the party. And when she goes there, it's blackout. It's dark. There's no light. There's lightning. And then she sees a shadowy figure on the window. And she's like, oh my god, is this a Rosewood Stalker or A? She thinks it's A because of a message A sent her threatening her, basically being like, I know you told. So Jenna walks in, and she's scared of Jenna because while in art class, she finds out Jenna has a phone and can text now. So she's like, oh my god, Jenna must be A because of the accident. So she has a panic attack. The angel that she is, actually helps Aria out during her panic attack, and stays with her until she wakes up and reveals something very important. In fact, the Jenna thing was not a prank between the girls and Allie, but in fact it was actually a plan between Allie and Jenna to get rid of Toby, because apparently Allison, while she did not like Jenna, had bonded with Jenna over Toby touching her, because according to Jenna, Allison also had sibling problems, which the only known sibling that Allison has is Jason. Yes, hot Jason. Jason, who was just seen in the news saying that him and his family are not close, and they're like, did Jason touch Allie? What's going on? And then Jenna says something else before she leaves. There was someone else that saw the Jenna thing. She does not tell Allie. She does not tell Aria who it is before she skedaddles out the room. We return to the party. When Spencer goes to the bathroom, she's confronted by Melissa. Melissa, who threatens her. Well, not threatens. She asks if she's dating Ian, and Spencer's like, girl, no, I'm not. And Melissa's kind of like, I don't believe that. And she's like, our tryst is over. And then Spencer looks in her bag, and there's a picture of Allison and Ian, intertwined hands and arms or whatever. And it says, the picture has written on it, I'm gonna kill that bitch. And the back of it is a note from A saying basically that her sister did it. And like I mentioned, Mona and Spencer have become friends. So Mona is in the bathroom hearing all this happen, and she's like, oh, was that your sister? And Spencer's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, that's weird. As I mentioned, Hannah's kind of caught in between Mona and Lucas because they're fighting, because Lucas keeps telling her, ask Mona what happened at that party. She's lying to you. She's not telling you the truth. And when when Hannah confronts Mona about this, Mona tells her, like, I know what happened. We dated before me and you became friends, and I dumped him because he's a loser and he wants to get revenge on me. And Lucas does confirm they actually did date, though he knows that it was not that serious. Hannah has been slowly regaining her memory throughout her chapters anyways. So when she kissed Lucas, when he came to visit her at her house, she remembered a little bit about them kissing in the library, which if I were her, I would not want to remember that, because then I would have to live twice through the secondhand embarrassment of this man taking off the shirt in a public room. Put it back on. Why are you doing that? Anyways, while Mona and Lucas are bickering, the singer that Naomi and Riley had invited to Mona's party, her song starts playing at the masquerade ball, which reminds Hannah about what happened at the party. Though she remembers the humiliation and what Mona did to her, she still sides with Mona because Mona is her best friend who showed up every day to the hospital but it's also like, so did Lucas. So it's like, I don't understand that. We go to my girl, Emily. Emily has arrived at this party with Trista. And mind you, Maya's also at this party. Just remember. Maya goes to the bathroom for 1 second, and immediately when she comes back, Trista and Emily are almost kissing. So Maya dumps Emily, and rightfully so. She dumps Emily, and she's like, you really do have a type. Like, that girl looked exactly like Allison. Blonde, blue eye. Ew. And she walks out, and after Emily gets dumped by Maya, she literally sees Trista hook up with Noel. So it's like, what was all that for? Spencer just got threatened by Melissa and then receives a photo saying that insinuating that Melissa killed Allie. So they meet at the couches or the photo booth. It was not a very clear description. And they discuss what's happened. And they're like, and Spencer tells them that her theory is that when she received a text saying that the killer was right in front of her, she originally thought, because of her blackouts, that since she was looking at a mirror when she received the text, that was about her. She did it. But when she received that text, immediately Melissa walked into the room. So she's like, what if that was actually about Melissa? So her theory is that Melissa is Allison's killer. And she's like, I think I gotta go down to the police station. And they're all like, okay, yeah, let's go. But Mona's like, no, Han, you gotta stay here. I invited Justin Timberlake to your party. Emily's like, I'll stay here with you, Hannah. So Mona and Spencer are in the car alone, going to the police station for them to turn in Melissa. And that's when Aria arrives at the masquerade ball, all bloodied up because, her head, she fell on the floor. And she reveals to the girls that Jenna and Allie planned the whole thing. And they talk about what Jenna meant by Allie also having sibling problems. Then they were like, Jason. And they're like, do you think Jason touched Allie? And Hanna says this thing about, 1 out of 4 brothers. And Emily's like, don't believe everything you hear. Like, what does that even mean? And Hannah's literally like, what'd you say? Don't believe everything you hear? Raven's Eye intro. Because that's the text, don't believe everything you hear, is what A said to Hanna when Hanna found out who A is. So Mona's driving Spencer to the police station, and Spencer's like, I can't do this. I can't turn to my sister. So Mona's like, okay, but think about it, and kind of just convince her to go. And that's when Emily texts Spencer with the revelation of what Hanna just told them. Mona is A. So she's texting, and they're all texting her like, oh my god, you're in danger. Mona is A. And Mona's like, pretty popular there, aren't you? Would you like some gum? Banana flavored? And she figures out that Spencer now knows she's A. So the girls drive to the police station hoping that Mona and Spencer are there. But they aren't, obviously, because Mona's kidnapped Spencer now and just driving a speed chase because she's like, you figured it out. So they go to the police station. Mind you, they're all calling Wilden, and this man's not picking up. This whole time, he's been like, tell me. Girls drive to the police station, see Wilden there, and they're like, Mona's A. He knows who A is, because remember, Aria had just told the police at the Hooters. Spencer does that thing they do in crime movies when somebody gets kidnapped, but they call the police with their phone and try to discreetly give their location away. Like, whoa, is that the park? The East Park? Like, might as well give Cornus at that point because she's so obvious. Mona figures it out and throws away her phone. And they still, like, try to search for her in the places she mentioned. But actually, Mona drives them to this quarry. So she's like, join my team. I hated all of you. But you know what? Hanging with you has been pretty chill. And Spencer's like, no, you hit Hanna with your car? What the hell was about that? What the hell was that about? And Mona's like, oh, she just knew too much. Is Mona doing this, you might ask? Because she got bullied? Mona is doing this because she and Jenna, Marshall, Kavanaugh, whatever you want to call her, were friends. The night the treehouse got on fire and Jenna lost her eyesight and got burnt, Mona was also in the treehouse. She's like, join me. And Spencer's like, no. What? No. You lost your mind. You're threatening me and my friends, you idiot. And Mona's like, oh, those are your friends? Well, I told Aria you're the killer and she tried to turn you in. Let's frame someone. Who do we want to frame? Do you want to frame Melissa? And she's like, no, what? No. For Allie's murder, by the way. And she's like, how did you know all these secrets that Allie knew anyway? Turns out, when Maya moved in, her family moved in, and they were throwing out Allie's stuff, or well, they were putting it at the curb to be taken. One of the stuff there was Allie's diary. The diary Allie was constantly writing in. So, Mona found the diary on the curb, and it's a miracle that the police didn't find it before, and apparently it had all their secrets. So she used that secret against them. Which I think is a little strange, because if she found the diary and she read all of it to know these secrets, I don't understand how she didn't know that Jenna planned her own fire. But okay. So anyways, she said that on the last page it said that Allison was she gave an ultimatum to Ian, telling him to either break up with Melissa or she was gonna tell. So they come to the conclusion that Allie's murderer is Ian, pushed to the edge. Well, you know who's really pushed to the edge? Mona. Because when she gets rejected by Spencer for, not joining her A-team, Spencer tries to run out the car. Mona tackles her, fighting. What Mona does not know is Spencer has an award in Kick-Ass. Girl, you're stalking them. You don't know she just tried to push her own sister down the stairs? She did that to her own sister. You think she's not going to push you? Because she does. She pushes her off the quarry. She flew. And that's when they all reach Spencer, oh my god, are you okay? Spencer is fine. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Hanna. I had to, kill your best friend. Happens to the best of us. So, they tell, Wilden about they get interviewed. They're getting interviewed. They find Mona's body. Mona's neck is broken and she is dead. They don't say that, but it's pretty well insinuated. And yes, she is. She is dead. And Mona had two phones, actually, that she texted them with. And Hanna finds Mona's BlackBerry that she used as A to threaten them and takes it. So after they confess what they know, and Spencer tells about Ian and the diary, the police find the diary at Mona's house and arrest Ian for killing Allie. And the day his court proceedings are about to happen, Hanna shows up to the court in a red dress. Well, she wanted to do it at a funeral. I think it's very nice that she did it at the court instead. Very kind. And before she goes to the court, actually, Hannah's mom, Ashley, tells her that she is going to Singapore for her job. And Hanna has two choices: to either go to a boarding school, it can be in town or not, or let Tom, Isabel, and Kate move into the house. And Hannah's like, oh. Also, by the way, horrible timing for this news. Feel like I could have waited after the court, but And so Hannah goes, she's like, I'll think about it. And she goes into the bathroom and deletes all the messages from Mona as A. And then she hands Wilden the phone. And she's like, a gift for you. After deleting all the messages. And when they go to the court, they kind of do a Marie Kondo. And they just throw all the stuff that A gave to them to threaten them in a trash bag. Except they will not be throwing it away. They're giving it as evidence. And I don't know how they kept all those notes. Feel like I would have lost them way before. But that's just me. I'm careless. Anyways, they go into the court and Ian obviously pleads not guilty because why would he plead guilty? Nobody ever pleads guilty. Anyways, the girls go outside of the courtroom. They, hug a little bit. Group hug. And then there's a limo in the front. By the way, obviously at the court proceedings was the De Laurentiis family. So while they're hugging, Emily sees the limo just standing in front of the court, and she sees blue eyes that she would recognize anywhere. She's only seen once on one person. But she thinks she would be crazy to say that right now because Allison is dead, right? And that's where the book ends because Emily's like, we just had a group hug. Would I be too crazy to be like, is that Allison? Sorry to interrupt, guys. Is that Allison? Our dead friend in the gazebo? But she doesn't say that, and the limo does drive by, so it would have been even crazier if she was like, y'all see that? Y'all not seen that? No? Aria's mom, Ella, does call her after the whole A things get revealed and Mona dies. And she's like, I miss you, honey. So sorry this happened to you. You're right. I am an adult and I should not have put my blame on the child. And also, Meredith's pregnant. She and Byron were already planning on getting married, but now she's preggo. Thoughts. This was really I was really nervous to do this because, first of all, I think having expectations set because people actually liked the first video, and I feel like that was so much neater because book 3 was so short that I feel like I still talked way too much about it for it not having that much in it. And it's so weird because when I read these books, I read them back to back because I want it fresh in my mind when I do these. But it's really hard because when I think about the books, when you read a series and book 3 is its own thing and book 4 is its own, the Pretty Little Liars books is not like that. It's kind of like the first half of the season and second half of the season, or like, God, yeah, no, that's really what it is. It's kind of like book 3 was the first half of season 2 and book 4 was the second half of it. That's what it feels like. It's a continuation rather than each book has its own story. If you didn't like this video, I'm so sorry. It was really, really messy because I like to separate each of their chapters and then tell their own chapters before the big event that happens near end of the book, so it's more neater that way. But I feel like it was really hard to do that this book, especially book 4, because they're all intertwined with each other. I think it's really difficult because book 4 especially, they were actually hanging out with each other. So it was a lot more difficult because book 1 and 2, it kind of felt like they were their own separate characters. But book 3 and 4, especially, like I said, they were all hanging out with each other. So I kind of had to just keep jumping from one to another to make sure I wasn't spoiling stuff. I was, leading you guys up to the same moment. I think that might have been a little messy, right? If it is, tell me. It's okay. I can say criticism, This is my first time, doing this. I feel like also when I get excited about something that's happening, I speak way too loudly into the microphone, and then sometimes I speak too quietly. I'm so sorry. I really hope you like this. Sorry about all the criticism on Iowa. That's on me. That's my bad. Let's be fun. Comment your favorite character down below. I obviously just finished filming, so I don't know how long this video is. I really hope it's not that long. I'm really scared it is. I'm terrified. Please don't dislike. I'll cry. Not me manipulating people. Don't click off. No. Thank you for watching. And if you're still somehow here, thank you. Thank you for listening. I love you. Thank you for watching, and see you in next video. Au revoir.